All right, so the Unit 3 is about the early government and the Constitution and the Founding Fathers. So our first uh, government was based off the Articles of Confederation and actually started shortly after um, the Declaration of Independence, so in 1777. So it was in place for about 10 years. So it was in place for about 4 years after the Treaty of Paris. The Articles of Confederation were a hot, hot mess. We were very, very weak as a country under it. We had no president. We had no court system. We had a unicameral legislature, meaning we had one house, so there was no checks and balances. We could not tax. We could not raise an army. We could not regulate trade. So it was just a mess. And so they were like, we need to fix this. And if you ever have had an assignment where you're like, I'm going to go back and just edit this a little bit and fix it, but then you realize it's so bad you have to redo it all the way. That's what the Articles of Confederation were like. And when you post the PDF, if you click on this is an actual link to another video. So the Constitution has 7 different parts to the Constitution, or articles to the Constitution. The first 3 articles make up the um, legislature, the president, and the Supreme Court. Um, and so now it is addressing those first 3 problems of that the Articles of Confederation failed to address. Where the legislature is concerned, we now have a bicameral legislature. We have 2 houses. And so we had to figure out how we were going to handle those 2 houses. And so you had 2 different plans that were put forth. One was the Virginia plan. So they were like, we need to have the House of Representatives, one of these houses, based on population. Well, that makes sense for big states. Of course, that's going to work to your advantage. Well, small states were like, well, that's not really fair for us. We're a smaller state. We don't have as many people in our state, so how is that fair for us? So they came up with the New Jersey plan. And so they said, well, let's have the other house or the other chamber of Congress be based on not based on population, but based on equal representation. So the Great Compromise, or the Connecticut Compromise, put those 2 plans together and gave us the House, which is based on population, and the Senate, which is based equal representation. So the Virginia plan is the House representation, so it's based on population. So currently we have 435 members of the House. And the Senate is based off the New Jersey plan, so equal representation. So 2 senators per state, no matter how many people are in your state. So Alabama has approximately 5 million people. We have 2 senators. California has about 50 million people. They have 2 senators. So that's how this works. So they have more members in the House because they have more people than we do, but we have same representation in the Senate. So this is how it worked out. Other compromises that came about were the three-fifths compromise, which dealt with how to address counting slaves as for representation purposes, and slaves were counted as 3/5 of one person. Um, and that really sparked the debate of slavery in itself. Were we going to continue to have slavery? And a lot of our founding fathers argued viciously against slavery. They did not want slavery. John Adams, really, and several others were very, very anti-slavery. Um, but they let it continue because most saw it as something that was eventually going to die out, and it was dying out. Um, Eli Whitney's cotton gin in 1793 reinvigorated slavery, unfortunately, because when they sat down at this meeting, they said in 20 years we're going to come back to talk about slavery, and if it's still an issue, we'll address it again, because they genuinely thought it was no longer going to be an issue within a very short period of time in this country. You had 2 different groups, Federalists versus Anti-Federalists, who said we don't want too much power with the government. So you had Federalists who were like, we want a strong central government. You had Anti-Federalists who were like, we just got away from a strong central government with a monarchy, so we want the states to have more rights. So this is where the Bill of Rights come in. So we have the first 10 Bill of Rights that protect individual rights and states' rights. And so that is Unit 3.